What's up, guys? So this is going to be a quick video on building your own intake for your TDI Jetta. So mine is a 2012 VW Jetta with the 2-liter TDI. It's a CJAA motor. Right now the intake is completely stock, and I think that the aftermarket ones are extremely overpriced. $300 for what they add is ridiculous. So I've got a silicone boot off eBay, a air filter from Driftmotion, and an intercooler pipe off of a 6.0 Ford Power Stroke. So I'm gonna put those together and see what I can't come up with. So to start this off, we're gonna start taking the intake out. So there's a bunch of T25 bolts around the top of this air cleaner lid. This line just pops off like that. You can take a screwdriver, pop the wiring for the MAF sensor off, and then take this clamp and move it back, and then this whole top piece will come off, and we'll be able to disassemble the MAF off of the top air cleaner lid. So now that we're at this point, I sprayed some WD-40 on the mounts for this bottom air cleaner. There's just a few like little pieces that you have to just yank it up over, and then this part will come out. Take this guy off, this cover, that'll like allow this guy to move around since it's attached into your main air cleaner box. So get all that loosened up here, and you can just yank this thing out. So now that we're at this point, got the air filter bottom part out. There's two T25 bolts on either side. Pull those out, then this guy will come off. So now that all that's out, we have tons of room to work with in here. If you ever need to get to your starter or anything, it's all nice and open. So also gives you a good chance to come in here and notice that your intercooler pipe has a broken mount, and that the previous owner just forgot to put a bolt back in there, which is probably why that broke. So we're gonna throw that back together. Also, you can just take this guy, get him out of there, because we aren't gonna use him. So now that the car is all torn down, we're gonna take our top air cleaner lid and take out the 7mm bolt that's there and that's supposed to be there. Again, the previous owner just forgot to put that guy back in. But we're gonna take that guy, get him out of there, and then there's like a little plastic or rubber seal that holds these guys in. So just very gently and precisely pull that out of there. And then you can see we're left with the little 3-inch diameter part on the MAF that we are going to connect to. Now that we got the MAF off the intake, I got it clamped back onto the stock pipe. Got my 3-inch silicone coupler on it. 3-inch coupler will fit. It is a tight fit, but it will slide over. I've got my filter kind of somewhat positioned where I want it, and I've got my intake pipe out of a junkyard 6.0 that I'm going to be using right like that. So I'm going to make a cut right by where my thumb is, and that should give me my 90. If I need to trim it down a little to make it fit better, I can, but I think that should be roughly where it needs to be. Well, I got the pipe cut. I do still have to trim a little off here, but this is pretty much how I want it to sit. Should clear the hood pretty easily. So now I'm going to come over and grab the two bolts, one there and one there. Again, previous owner just forgot to put that one back in. I'm going to come over and grab those and brace over to the intake so it doesn't, do that while I drive. But I got to do that, and then I've got to put a nipple, drill and weld a little nipple for this guy to attach to. I think what I'm going to do is just extend this hose right here, make it longer so that it will come down and pick up out of there. So my solution to that little vacuum line is to cut a piece of the fuel pipe from an old Toyota pickup fuel pump hanger, and that's going to be what I'm going to weld here. And then this, I'm going to straighten this guy out and connect it something like that. This happens to fit inside there, so that should fix that problem. And then to mount it, I've got washers that fit around each of the bolts I'm going to go to. I decided I'm going to go down to that bolt right there, that I just sat it there because this washer I've got to take a little angle out of, because as you can see, it's going to hit that edge right there. So I've got to cut part of the washer out, and then I'm also going to come over and put a mount on that guy, so it'll be triangulated just to really stop this thing from moving. Most of the things I've read online say that most of the problems come from when these things vibrate a lot and it pisses the MAF off, and you get codes for that. So by going to those 3 spots, I'm going to bring them all up and brace together underneath. I'll probably brace between each of the 3 pieces coming up. For the braces themselves, I'm going to use pieces. They're actually old grill grates, but I got a good bit of them and they're pretty thick, pretty strong, so I'm going to use these for my braces. Oh, I got that little line welded on. I made sure to record this after I ground down the weld so you guys can't make fun of me, but it's on there. All looks pretty good. There's no leaks. So now I'm going to start working on making the braces. So as you guys can kind of see there, there's tons of room between the filter and the hood. I got one mount welded on. I've got the washer for that bolt ground down, and got the welder set up to weld on that second mount. So after getting the second mount tacked in, I've kind of thought about it. It doesn't really move hardly at all, so I don't think I'm going to use that third location. Once I get these beams fully welded in, I'll brace between them so that to help reduce even more side to side, but I just don't think I'm going to come up here. I think if I did that and triangulated between the 3, I think it would make it real hard to get it in and out because of how long each of the supports would be. So I think what I've got now is plenty. I'm going to take this out, weld it, and then we'll be good to go. So the fabrication is done. I got all the welding done, got it all cleaned up. It's looking pretty good. Got all the clamps tightened down and whatnot. Doesn't move much at all, so I'm probably going to pull it back out to powder coat it, but I want to hear how it sounds first. So after driving it, my first thoughts are that as far as the noise is concerned, at least in this car, I don't notice it. I don't think I hear any intake noise. All I hear is just the exhaust noise from the turbine just because of my hood stack coming out, right in front of me. As far as the intake noise, I think it's a negligible difference. It does seem like it's a little faster, a little more power. I think other companies, their intakes, they advertise like a couple horsepower gain. It's probably that. It's nothing crazy. I do think it's cool though. It looks sick. I can't not wait to get this powder coated. I am going to pull this out after I'm done recording here. I've got some other stuff I want to powder coat. But I think the filter, was around $35 to $40. I got it from Driftmotion. It's just a 3-inch air filter. If you try to buy like a Wix or K&N, they're ridiculously expensive. They're like $100+ for just a simple little 3-inch filter, which is just absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. So looking at the Driftmotion one, it looks identical to the S&B one that I bought for the Toyota. I happen to get that filter on sale, which is why I bought that, but I'm very happy with the Driftmotion filter. I actually bought one for my Dodge for when I build the intake for it. The coupler I think was like $12-15. I bought it off of eBay. It came with 2 clamps. Sick. Can't really go wrong there. The pipe, I got it from the junkyard. I think you just say $10 for that. So, I mean, all things considered, you're in maybe $60 for this intake. And I really cannot see how the extra $300 or the extra, $250 for some of these intakes is going to get you anything more than what I've got with this intake. I just can't see it. So, that being said, I'm going to get that thing pulled out, go powder coat it, and see what this thing looks like when it's all put together. It looks pretty ratty, but it works. A couple hours later, I had to take the temp switch apart because the contacts in it were old and corroded since it sits outside year round. So it's heating up now. Be able to get the powder coating started soon. So it's the next day. I took some time this afternoon to put that little guy in and obviously hook up the intake. Pretty stoked with the color. It's like a milk chocolate brown with gold flake. It's prismatic powders, dark bronze 2, I believe. Looks pretty cool. So overall, still thrilled with how it turned out. I think it's a real easy job to do. It took me, 2 hours to build it. And if you have the equipment to do it, then it makes it a lot easier. If you don't have the equipment to do it, I'm sure you probably know somebody that does, so you just gotta use a little ingenuity and you'll make it work. So other than that, I'm gonna take this thing down to service position. I got some other work to do to it, but as far as this intake is concerned, it's done. So hopefully you build one for your car, and I appreciate you watching the video.